Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, where we explore and celebrate the craft beer industry, community, and history in Tacoma, Washington, and surrounding Pacific Northwest areas. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's get to it. Welcome back, everybody, to part two of our special two-part Grit and Grain episode with Manny, that Manny, and Roger. Yeah, that Roger.
Other guy.
the other one, with Manny and the other one.
We were going to go with other Manny, but it just wasn't,
Other Manny.
He actually has a shirt that says other guy.
I do. It's not a bad thing to be.
Heavy as the crown and such. Yeah.
Well, I'm drinking your Pilsner and it's delicious.
You're kind. You're too kind.
I know. So we're, again, this is part two of our two-part Manny and Roger episode. So we all have fresh beer for this fresh episode. Roger,
we haven't seen you guys in like a week.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
I know. Similar.
We got pre-buzzed up this time, so...
Your beard's longer.
How was your anniversary?
I'm sure it was great.
Did you have all the sexes? Yeah, you did.
Probably.
I can tell. You've got a glow.
I know it's over now, so
Afterglow.
I know, right? This red room is just. I know.
Your fruit is sweating. Wow, there it is.
Are you coming on to me?
It
Doug?
has been for the last 3 months. Like that's just it's the time of year.
God damn it, Roger! What are you drinking?
I'm currently drinking the. No parking, no dancing on the park floor or something like that.
What's your? I know you're finishing that. What's the fresh beer in front of you?
This is the our little tiny town. Our tiny town barley wine, which is like 15 or some ridiculous number that's probably made up.
We just had whiskey.
Then I've got a little half schooner of the fresh hop Elio IPA or IPA, which Elliot
Elio-T. Elliot, I'm joking. It's
all
Elliot.
right. There's only one L in there.
Elio-T.
Roger's been drinking for this whole week.
I pre-funked for this thing. I've been drinking all week since that last episode.
Which is easier to brew,
And
the
then
barley wine or the
I have
Pilsner?
a little E9 sour over here in this schooner, and that is a glass of water.
Oh, what is that?
You know,
or straight vodka.
and or straight vodka. Yeah.
So what's easier to brew, the barley wine or the Pilsner?
It's easier to brew the barley wine.
I think that's
then
probably
you just let it
true.
age.
Yeah.
But the Pilsner is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, like we made
Roger
a huge
is a
mistake.
pain in the ass. Just ask his wife.
We made a huge mistake there. Like I thought, like it was brilliant because, when we started, we were almost 2 years in or so, and Manny's like, "All right, time to make another beer," because we'd only been making one beer. We'd only been making Manny's Pale Ale, right? And he's like, "We're naming it after you. Like, you pick the style." And I'm like, "Ooh, okay." So I was gonna go either.
No. First we said we're gonna name it Rogers. And he was like, "I don't want a beer named after me."
Well, I did say that.
And we were like, "Well, we're gonna vote." And it was Roger and I, and we had one employee, and his name was was it Devlin at the time, or was it Hutch?
I think Hutch was gone. I think it was
Devlin.
Yeah.
And we're like, "Let's vote." And Devlin was like, "I like Rogers." And I was like, "I like Rogers." Like, you lose.
Son of a
Rogers.
son of a gun of a. So I lost, and then I just decided that, like, in the long run, because we kind of planned to be around for a while, like that. One, I would like it to be a Pilsner because I do enjoy a good Pilsner, and then the other thing was like, oh man, it takes so much tank space, right? Like, because they take forever to make because they're lagers, and it's so painful. And there's a reason like that most craft breweries, microbreweries of the day, what they were called back then, there's a reason they didn't make them because of that, right? It just takes so much more real estate, it takes so many more tanks to make the same amount of beer in a month, a year, or whatever. And I'm just like, it's all right. Doesn't matter because guess what? There's not a market for craft Pilsner. Like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And it's not that they didn't care. It's just that nobody made them because they couldn't afford to make it, so that market hadn't developed yet.
Yep.
Right? And turns out now it's starting to develop, and it's a good problem to have.
It is. And I remember, like, just looking at from an outsider's view, like especially with the Mac and Jacks, I was like, okay, so you got an amber, you got Serengeti wheat, right? So you're coming in between the styles with a pale and then a pilsner, and I always thought that was genius.
We never heard
And
of it that
no,
way.
no, I'm sure that's
Honestly.
exactly what you
intended.
intended.
We literally thought about it as, what do we want to drink?
Yeah.
Like, we decided we were our own market. Like, we made beer that we wanted to drink. We weren't too kooky. Like, we didn't think like too like out there or crazy or weird. And like, if we made beer that we loved, like, we thought that other people would love it too. Enough other people would
Roger
love it.
wanted a fishing beer.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
No, he's seriously. Yeah, you wanted a fishing beer. That's fucking true.
Oh, sorry.
You wanted a
yeah.
fishing beer.
Yeah, no, I did. I wanted a river beer, right? Like, where
River beer. What do you do on
Way
the river,
different.
Roger?
I fish on the river.
Total different BJCP category. You got river beer and you got fishing beer.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah,
See, we'll
absolutely.
defer to our beer judge over here.
No,
Thank
okay,
you,
so
Sean.
but shout out to our friend at the time who inspired Roger's Pilsner was Arlen Harris.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember our LeConner
LeConner
Brewing Company?
Brewing.
LeConner, then
Yeah.
Rogue Issaquah.
Yes, absolutely.
Arlen
He was
and I,
there.
like,
Yeah.
No,
we've
Arlen
made
was
out in our
making-
minds a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude, that he's a stud.
Fucking
And Arlen
legend.
was making some awesome beer. And at
Yeah.
the time, he was making a LeConner Pilsner, and we just loved the beer. And we actually had him come down and help us make Rogers.
Fresh LeConner Pills
Yeah.
was so good.
I
Oh,
remember he was at Rogue in Issaquah, and it was the first time I think the Craft Brewers Conference was in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy Matt Coughlin, who works at Double Mountain now, we were going up to get a keg for the wedding, and we showed up at Rogue Issaquah, and it like should have been open, but they weren't. And the reason they weren't was because Michael Jackson was
Oh, God.
in the brewery
Shut up.
doing a little video documentary with Arlen.
I'm going to cut in real quick and just let people know that this isn't Michael
It's not the
Jackson.
moonwalk.
No,
That's right.
This-
That's
actually-
Oh no, this is
No.
Michael Jackson, not the beer guy.
This is when Arlen was 8 years old.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
So
Just beat it.
in the beer
thank you,
world,
God.
there is a separately famous Michael Jackson who is a very well-known,
legendary.
prolific author of all things beer, and has done some of the best work in that
Beer
regard.
hunter.
Yeah, the fucking beer hunter.
Yeah,
So yeah, him being in a brewery, that's why it elicits that reaction. Not the king of pop, the king of beer.
yeah. And if you have a VHS, I can loan you the Beer Hunter videos and you can watch them. But so they end up opening up, and Michael Jackson's at the bar, and I think Rogue had been tasked, Issaquah specifically, with making it was a bourbon barrel stout that they were featuring for the Craft Brewers Conference. And so he's sitting at the bar, and Coughlin and I just like, it was schoolgirl, like full
Yeah.
on, like
Oh, I'd be
we
giddy.
sit down
I'd
next
be
to him,
giddy.
and like obviously he's drinking the fucking stout, and we're just like, yeah.
Sure.
We're like, you ask him. Hey, what are you drinking? And then he talked to us, and like, you know, we peed ourselves, and panties were left, and it was.
Which Michael
It was
Jackson?
no, seriously, it was the same kind of effect. Like he just wasn't as receptive, but he was very humble and nice.
God damn it.
Upstanding man, that one. But yeah. Moral of the story is Arlen Harris
morals,
is a fucking
people.
badass.
Arlen fucking Harris.
Yep, Arlen fucking
God
Harris.
bless him.
Ting, ting.
He's not dead. He's still alive. He's
No,
great.
sorry.
Still lobbying for all the good things. No,
Ooh, I'm not quite sure. I can't remember what he's doing anymore.
consulting.
I think so.
Doing something else.
Yeah.
Sorry,
consulting
I-
breweries or
something else.
consulting lobbyists.
Like he worked for like Washington State Lottery, lobbied for them for a long time, and I think he moved on, and I cannot recall what he's doing right now. So I don't want to misrepresent him, but yeah, good
already
dude.
blown
I actually got
Pretty
to. I
good.
got to
Good
start.
dude, and certainly like
Like, why stop here?
LeConner Brewing Company used to make an IPA, and they made bottles with
Oh, God.
hops in them. Sean is giving me the
Yep, fuck
affirmation.
yeah.
And I had a roommate. Remember Kari Lund?
yes,
Yeah. So Arlen gave me like a 6-pack of his fucking delicious IPA with real hops in them. and I put him in the fridge, and I had a roommate. It wasn't Roger because he knows better.
No.
But I had this roommate named Kari. Kari, damn you. I came home. She had a party, and they opened up all my IPA.
Dude.
But they like, oh, there's shit in it, and they dumped it all out. And they're like,
Dumped it out.
God. Yeah, and they're like hops all over the kitchen sink. They're just sitting there with like these bottles, and they're like, you can tell they didn't fucking drink them. And I was like, oh, I'm so mad right now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everybody in the industry has like the story of like, yeah, these people came over to my house and then they like drank all of my good shit out of my fridge.
Exactly.
Well, that's one thing. When they just dump it down the sink.
Yeah, dude.
Or because I was like, oh, there's
worse,
shit in my beer.
like, why is there a half bottle of Sukata
Bright
sitting
side.
on my countertop? Oh, it's because my friends are idiots.
Yeah. Anyways.
Bright side, a lot of homies got their wings.
Yeah.
There you go.
I guess.
Oh.
That's a
more
hell of an
important.
Arlen wrap up. But yeah, I remember that, and I remember his story of telling how fucking fantastic it was to put a single hop cone in every beer and bottle it up. He loved it.
That's a guy
Labor of
who
love, though.
cares about beer.
Cares about beer.
Cares about beer. Still does. Cares
Well,
about the
yes, he
industry.
does.
Cares about the product. Cares about the people. Like,
Yep.
such a good dude.
Haven't seen him in a while, and I miss him and love him dearly.
Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely. All right.
Amen.
You guys mentioned something in the first half here. Roger, I think you said something about like how beer was so like it was so PNW, it was so like Northwest.
Yeah.
And I've like always been curious on your guys' thoughts on that. But like we've talked about it here on the podcast a little bit, like beer does seem to be like in the DNA of the Northwest. And like obviously you picked up on that when you were young. So you were at, what would end up being like one of the most prolific, like kind of talent producing breweries out there. What do you guys think it is about the Northwest? Like why is beer so important here?
That's a hard question, but if I were to have to answer it, which I will, I think it's just because it's fucking hopland, man. Like we got Yakima Valley, like right there. That's where hops are grown.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's what has made beer special in America, in the New World, in the Northwest, whatever. Like we hop stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like our IPA, Northwest IPA, like all the IPAs since 2000, are like, hot bombs in whatever sense, whatever, maybe a little before that, it was like the bitterness wars. And then it, it's
that
now
continued
it's
through, like-
much more, now it's much more aroma based, generally, but like compared to like what an IPA was in, England or, the English traditional style IPA, it's a completely different thing. And
Totally.
so I think our proximity to Yakima Valley, whether you're an Oregon brewery or a Washington brewery, like I think that has a ton to do with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's the best explanation I can give. Yeah, I don't know.
Just geographical.
Yeah,
I always
honestly.
talk about that. Like,
Well, it's proximity.
And our
right?
malt
It's
game is
proximity.
amped up too.
our what?
Our malt game.
That's actually true.
Our malt game's
like
not bad,
there
right?
are
Like, seriously.
multiple heritage malt
Yeah.
producers in the Northwest now
Yeah.
that make all kinds of crazy shit.
I think that's part of it, but I think there's something else.
Oh boy.
It's our stupid fucking weather. I mean, seriously.
Amen.
Yeah.
Dude,
No, it's regional.
dude.
Yeah, it's because you don't go down to, if you're like in California, you just want to go be happy and like play in this beach. You don't go into your pubs and hang out.
Right.
I mean, there's a reason. Like when I went to Ireland, everybody hangs out in bars. It's awesome because the weather sucks.
Because it's gray.
Yeah, it's like depressing. So you just want to hang out with
And
other
rain
people.
and whatever. It's
know,
windy. Like
But like beer, it's kind of like coffee culture, right? I mean, the weather is kind of tough at times, and we all kind of hunker down and we get creative. Like we have to find things to make ourselves feel good because the weather sucks.
And the
And
kind of
so-
beer that we make and that you mostly serve at a place like the Parkway is kind of cozy beer, right?
Yeah,
It's just like
people come
warmer
in and they want to
beer.
be social and they want to come inside and
Totally.
want to be together.
It's not Corona Light,
Yeah.
It's not. It's
mean,
just
yeah.
reason and not
not
to
beach
piss
beer.
on Corona.
Yeah, we're
the-
not going
the
to
best-
surf all day and then play football.
No, and the best, exactly. And the best musicians in the world are the ones that are really depressed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had some
Depression
really
ain't
good
real.
music because everybody was really depressed.
And the drugs don't hurt. Be honest.
You're
No,
Dude, if
there's
the
been some
drugs are the
careers where
reason
after
why we make
sobriety,
such
we're like,
good beer.
So I think the weather does drive creativity.
Okay.
You know,
So we have historical context, we have climate, and we have geography.
Yeah, and it kind of mixes all that in, right? So you
Totally.
have like fantastic ingredients nearby, and then sort of this like really bad weather and good bars and everybody.
Pretty much the
Yeah.
more you think about it, the more you're like, how could it not be the PN Dub?
Totally.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's in our DNA.
Dumb question, Matt.
But happy
I'm
anniversary.
so glad I decided to do all of this.
I know.
I'm not saying you did.
Me too.
Well, fuck. Well, you mentioned being close to Yakima Valley and hops defining a lot of what makes our beer so good. So, can we talk about Bodhi?
Probably.
So it's October 9th, 2016. And I'm at Peaks and Pints less than a month before we open. I'm logging in all the beers into the computer, and I'm live streaming the JFBF. And I'm
What?
JFBF.
GABF?
Yeah, I'm doing
Nailed
that. And I'm live blogging, and sure enough, Bodhi takes gold.
Yeah.
Oh, surprised as fuck on that one.
For sure.
we
That
all
was-
were. But we
Also-
won. But
also your
we won
coffee
Gusto
beer.
Crema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
Yeah.
we took
Yeah.
gold
You
before
did.
before the IPA.
Well, yeah. Same
Same
year,
year.
but
Yeah.
like
But that was nuts because that was the
craziness.
there was less categories and there was like there wasn't a West Coast IPA and East Coast IPA,
No.
hazy IPA category. It was IPA category and then a double IPA category.
There was like 409 entrants that
Yeah,
year.
so
it
that was
was
like
around
the
400.
You
So-
won for IPA, which is the number one
That
most
was-
entered.
yeah.
And then coffee beer,
Which is the number
broad.
4. With the number
four.
I was
fucking
like,
most
oh,
entered
coffee beer.
category.
There's probably like it's probably like the least entered category. It's
no,
number
fuck
4.
no, number 4.
Out of like
Yeah.
70
And
whatever.
we won
categories.
dick
Crazy.
before that. We never won anything.
Well, how many
Well,
times
we've
did you
never
try?
entered it.
We didn't really.
2014, right?
We didn't really enter that
problematic.
much.
Didn't you throw down in 2014?
I don't remember.
Did you
No.
throw down? Did you send beer this year?
Yes, we sent ever since then. Before that, we've been entering.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that year was that was kind of mind blowing.
Bad
Yeah, it
fucking
was-
ass.
Yeah.
We did not expect that.
Dude, we all.
Oh, we love the fucking
Yeah.
representation.
It was
Yeah.
great.
We'd
Yeah,
love to
thank
see
you.
those fucking
That
medals
was-
come into
that
our,
was awesome.
It felt
our
great.
territory, you know?
I gotta say, it felt good to bring that to Washington.
Fucking
That was
yeah,
like
yeah,
fucking
absolutely.
for sure.
Dude, I was buying it.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
I was buying at BevMo when that happened, and we had it on tap on our growler station the day that it was
Nice.
announced. And it was
That's
like,
awesome.
like
Yeah.
we had all tried it and we loved it, but we were like, we were still like, holy shit! Like I cannot believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not a divided category. It was just IPA,
Right.
And there was like, yeah, I think over 400 entrants
No,
in
there
this
was.
category. It was like,
It was insane.
insane. And we were like, holy
Yeah.
shit!
And we didn't know what that meant at the time. I mean, we we knew it was a big deal and it was
Yeah.
huge, but like sales wise, we don't know what to expect.
Right.
You know.
Sure enough.
So
Yeah, we had I think 5 nerds in that day who were
Yeah.
like, dude, like I used to post pictures of our tap list at BevMo,
Mm-hmm.
and because that was who I was.
nerds,
And,
nerds.
but yeah, like 5 people came in that day and like ordered a Bodhi. They were like, dude,
Yeah.
I just heard about this and it won this thing and I had to try it, and like it was immediately like a game changing thing.
Yeah, he
Which
was
is
awesome.
crazy.
He was awesome.
I think
Yeah.
we've got to give some credit to our head brewer Reed and to our like
Matt Edwards.
brewers and Medwards,
Fucking
like
Medwards,
absolutely
yeah.
like
Shout out to
I mean
Matt,
Medwards
man.
like developed a beer, right? Like that was his baby.
Yep.
But like we never like entered categories because when we started we made this like Manny's Pale Ale thing, which is like not a fucking pale ale, but it's not really anything. It's just kind of this beer that's really nice to drink,
Yep.
and it doesn't fit neatly into a category, right?
Sure.
It doesn't.
I agree.
So if you enter it as this, it's gonna get nothing because it's not that. But if you enter it as this, it's not gonna get a gold or anything because it's not that. But it's a nice drinkable beer that people like. And
You're
so
also
we were,
underselling
like,
it. Like
kind
it
of
was also a beer that defined a region for a little while.
well, yeah, but it doesn't define a style though.
No, it doesn't. It
like,
doesn't neatly fit
you're
into a
entering a
category.
competition, and we're like, we don't need to enter a competition. Like if enough people buy our shit, to like keep us in business.
We were kind of
Yeah.
anti-award.
We're fine.
We
And
were
s-
kind of anti-award.
So
for
we
a
were
while.
kind of anti-award for a
Yeah.
while, and
Well,
then
you still haven't printed it on the cans.
Yeah.
our people
I don't see
like,
cans of
we're
Bodhi
just
in-
like
No,
they're
we
so
don't print the
fiercely
awards.
They're so fiercely proud of
We-
what they make
yeah.
and
Yeah.
what we do and what they do. You know, like
yeah.
they're just like there's going to be a revolt if we didn't start entering.
No,
this
it was
stuff.
it was the brewers that drove us to like
100
actually entering
100%.
awards. We would not enter awards like at the Finney Ridge Brew Fest, and we would get second, and we'd be really proud of second. We were like,
right.
second is the best. We
Yeah.
want to be second. We don't want to be first. I don't want to like have a whole trophy case full of first place because I don't want to be that person, right?
Yeah.
But and then because we always felt like the consumers decide, not beer judges, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they're,
yeah.
they're our customers.
No,
they should be
I
the ones that
respect that.
decide.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we really didn't know what it meant, and so we kind of poo-pooed Great American Beer Festival for a while.
Yeah.
And it was really our brewers that were like, we want to enter because this validates what we're doing.
And they're like, we think we have something here.
Yeah, and so and then it was like we were like, yeah, we should do okay. All right, we listened, like we need to do this, and I mean, it worked out. So,
Yeah, dude.
yeah, it did. So, but it wasn't.
Handily.
It wasn't driven by Roger and I trying to say we need to win a bunch of gold medals.
Yeah.
Right. To
It's
drive
mostly,
sales or
and it wasn't even
whatever.
the brewers didn't want to win a bunch of gold medals. It was mostly because they wanted to be, I think, validated in the eyes of their peers.
Yeah,
I think
they want to be
judge.
a part
Actually
of it.
judge.
That's
Totally.
the beer
Yeah.
scene,
You wanna
right?
fucking
Yeah.
compete.
You want to be a
Right.
part of the beer scene, right?
Totally.
Like, no, we take this seriously, and we're all in this together.
We've done all this
and
work
that's
in
one of the
pursuit
great
of this
things about
product.
our industry is the fact that the brewers really basically all believe we're all in this together. We're trying to turn people on to craft beer
Yeah,
and
hell
big
yeah.
flavor and interesting stuff and challenging your palate
Yep.
and doing this fun things and supporting your local brewer and like all the radness that is, local craft beer, that is places like the Parkway or the Latona or whatever. Like that's what's exciting about what we do. That's what's rad about what we do. And and we were kind of selling ourselves short and selling the industry and the whole scene short a little bit on that by not participating in that part of it.
Yeah, we didn't participate for a long time.
So,
Yeah.
shame on us. And thanks to our folks for like waking us up,
Pushing that.
opening our eyes and getting us to be a part of it.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is like, it's probably not super unique to the beer industry, but it's definitely like a feature of the beer industry that maybe doesn't even get talked about enough, but like the Northwest, I mean, we're sitting here talking about how crazy the Northwest is when it comes to beer and like how it's really part of our DNA. And so part of that is that like it is in a lot of ways a hyper competitive industry up here. Like
Yeah,
there's
very much so.
like limited space. And there's tons of really, 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 really good beer that gets made in this area, and somehow like we still all find a way to have like a high tides attitude about it.
And
That's-
it's just so collaborative.
yeah, totally. Like it's certainly
Crazy.
in Tacoma, but like all over the Northwest, it's way more collaborative than it should be for like an industry that should be super competitive.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. Yeah.
And
it's like
it's
crazy
the
that
fact
it's
that it's remained that way, I think, is a huge testament to the people in our industry. The fact that it was that way back in 2002-3 when we were getting into it, and Manny's trying to explain how things work, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I'm coming from an industry where, like, you announce you're going to a different company, or like, and they're like, bring security, and you've got 15 minutes to clean out your cubicle and
Yeah,
like,
hell
escort
yeah.
you off the fucking premises. And we're doing collaboration.
You
group
take your
and,
hops
all
with
this,
you and get the hell out of here.
stuff. I'm like,
you have the
what
car
are you-
Get all
over
the
to help
porn
you,
off your
like,
hard
make your
drive.
Pilsner.
like, aren't we competitors? And they're just like,
Yeah.
no, man, welcome to the party. Like, let's turn people on to craft beer.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Let's raise the collective
this
palate.
is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and it's also the raddest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And
dude. It's addictive.
Super. It is. It's such a fun thing to be a part of, and have been a part of for like almost 20 years now. Like,
It feels like
it's
the
so
last
cool.
month or so, your name's on every collab. Right?
You
Well, a lot of
I feel
collabs.
like Keith is texting
A lot
me
of
saying,
collabs got kind of
collab.
like backlog
COVID
because of the
backlogged
COVID
everything.
thing,
Yeah.
and so we're
Yeah.
making up for a little lost time.
Yeah.
It's
right.
wonderful.
But we're honored, man. I mean,
For sure.
when we get asked to collab with awesome breweries, it's like, thanks for asking. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So, and then, we get a chance to meet some really cool people. And I mean, we got some fun ones scheduled for next year, some like really cool breweries that I super highly respect. And the fact that they reach out and ask or vice versa,
Such a huge compliment.
that's nice. That's really cool.
Who you got on the docket next year?
So
Good question.
no, we're going to do another one with Fort George, which we love.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do like Bill Breaker. We just talked to those guys. They're doing their 10th anniversary
coming
and
up.
They just
Fuck
I think
yes.
yeah. So
we're
that's
not the
really
only
cool.
ones. I think they're doing 3 collabs for that.
Yeah.
We're one of them, which is
But they're
it feels
friends,
good.
you know. And to me, it's
Such
like
good
we
people.
rather we want to brew beer with our friends
Yeah.
and drink beer with our friends.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to drink beer with an asshole.
He's staring you down.
That's why I have a
staring you
lonely
down.
back porch. Nobody ever shows up there.
Just me and my beer by myself.
So, one thing I'd like to talk about is, and it's important for us in Parkway and Tacoma, but just you guys in general, like your approach to what you give back to the community. And like, I would love to get the full story of Bob's, like on the record, but I would also like to say that, you know, it's been years and years of heritage of us trying to do events, and whenever we needed help to do something good for the community, whether it was Adam, Garrett, or Keith, and you guys as supporting the brewery, like you were always there for us, and you always did whatever we asked or needed to get stuff done for a good cause. And you know, I remember when I heard Manny's was getting canned, and it broke my heart. But then I found out why.
Yeah.
And I mean, and this is us in Tacoma. Like, you know, we're not Seattle. Like, I can only imagine what you do in your local market. But I mean, you've always been here for us in Tacoma, and just really appreciate it. And so,
Hey, the feeling is mutual. No, I'm serious. Like for what you,
100%.
when you step up and you jump in with Bob's, and you like your enthusiasm and your excitement for the cause that we've selected, and I mean that's like awesome, and I really fucking appreciate you, dude. So thank you.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and that, you know, John was the one that picked up that torch, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I rest his freaking super awesome
Yeah,
soul.
rest his
Like,
soul. Hey, cheers. Hey, raise a glass.
Cheers.
to John.
John.
Cheers.
Indeed,
Cheers to
man.
John.
But can we take a minute to talk about canning Manny's? Because I mean, that was shut up. Like, but it was big for the industry.
Before we do that, can we take a quick break?
Yeah.
Of course.
I do it to you on purpose. I do it to you on purpose.
Fuck off! God damn it! Are you serious?
This is Eric Hanberg, co-founder and publisher of Channel 253. This episode is sponsored by Bench. What is Bench? Bench is an amazing bookkeeper for your micro, small, or large business. You get on-call bookkeepers supporting your business with a low monthly fee. They do the books for you every month, answer questions, and help give you the financial clarity you need. I was so glad to find them for Channel 253. Bench has been so easy to work with. They walked me through the initial setup on the phone and then got to work. In a couple of days, they had done what I could never seem to get around to. In the years since then, they categorize expenses and income and flag things that need more information, all through the website or an app. The reports are beautiful and helpful, and my reports are packaged up for the accountant at the end of the year. It's taken something that was a real pain point for me and made it something very easy, if not downright enjoyable, all for a low, flat monthly fee. Best of all, you can get your first month free just to see if you like it. To give Bench a spin and explore the software, use this special link, channel253.com/bench. Got that? channel253.com/bench to learn more and claim your free month of bookkeeping.
Welcome back. Yeah. So once again,
your beard is,
yeah,
is
it's
even
been
longer.
a whole week since the last time we saw each other.
Time to trim up those nose hairs. Yeah.
What anniversary is it now?
Oh, don't ask. I'm not good at math. Like, yeah. Once again, a quick shout out to Channel 253. Doug, our wonderful producer, is Channel 253 and does amazing work for us and all of the other people who run wonderful podcasts on their network.
Yeah.
It's community members and leaders talking about the things that are very important to Tacoma as a community. And if you want to stay connected, it's a great way to do it. So support those guys. Go to channel253.com/membership.
Yeah.
Before we left, I cut Sean off in the middle of a welled-up, teary story about how much we love the community efforts that these guys helped us support. And I've raised money here for local schools with Sean's help. Garrett and I have done Bob's Nights here, and it is really a big deal. But we were just getting ready to talk about Manny's getting canned.
Yeah. The canning of Manny's.
Jeez.
The thing that never was going to be.
We're never gonna can Manny's.
Never going to can Manny's.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Sure is.
I kind of hope so.
The pandemic has been hard.
Hard.
Yeah, hard. I'm not necessarily sure we're out of it, but it feels like we're kind of out of it. But I think for all of us, I mean, I still remember the days when we were sitting there going, do we even get to come to work? Do we even get to run our business still?
Yeah.
And we were like literally waiting for Governor Inslee to come out with a document that says that breweries were essential. Well, no shit, breweries are essential, but
Just spent half an episode talking about that.
but it was scary for all of us. I mean, I moved to Vashon and I was like literally riding the ferry, and I was like the only person on the boat upstairs, right? Oh. And it was like just this really eerie thing, and I think it was just a really scary thing for all of us. Yeah. And I mean, thank God for that. Thank God for vaccines. That's my opinion. I think that a lot of people, like normal people's opinions.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yep.
And
Northwest.
but
Science.
Science, hell yeah! And then all of us are in this room together with our masks off, and we get to be friends and hug
Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
beers together.
It's fucking fantastic.
There's love.
Hey, keep it PG. Keep it PG.
Sean nips a blast in Jackson.
When this first happened, I think Roger and I were both in the same boat. Like we felt it was hard. We were 50-50 draft sales and 50-50 cans. So we ended up destroying like 7,500 kegs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
Jesus
a lot of beer.
fucking God.
Jesus.
For those of you without an abacus
Yeah.
at home,
We're
that's
going
a
to
lot.
get our fact checker on how much that is.
Yeah. But I mean, I think for us, we were destroying 7,500 kegs, but we were making it up with can sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thankfully we had that. But we were like talking about how all our buddies who owned bars, ran bars, worked in bars, in the industry, like everybody was like, and there wasn't at the time. We didn't know what the relief was yet, right? So,
Yep.
so we talked about like how do we. The first thing we did was how do we take care of our own? We had to do that, right? Because we
Absolutely.
were nervous and we were scared about how do we run our own business. And so, but once we sort of figured out that okay, we're stable, we don't have to let anybody go. Then the next step was how do we do something, right? And then that was like kind of became sort of a discussion about well, how do we make it meaningful, right? And that was a discussion about kind of canning Manny's and
Doing the
Right.
thing that was never going to be done.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and
But it
so
was
I would
perfect.
frame it this way, and Manny's taken the long road to this, but basically, like, Manny's was always like a draft-only beer. It was a beer for bars, and we wanted to keep it that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, while we didn't keep it draft only, we kept it a beer for bar people.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Because we didn't
exactly.
keep a goddamn dime from that can
That's
run.
what I'm talking about.
And
Bars,
we also
Roger.
had so much more to give because of the generosity of our suppliers. Like
Oh, yeah.
our grain people like donated the grain. Our can people donated the Manny's cans. Like our hop people
it's
donated
fucking
those hops. Like
fantastic.
so many other people stood up and which resulted in so much more to give.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I mean,
Yeah.
we could take a bunch of credit for that, but like, yeah, we did our part, but so many other people did so much.
Well said.
Your part is huge. So who's the other players then?
Crown for cans.
Yeah.
Great Western.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting hops from.
Oh shit! I don't remember.
Pause.
Yakima Chase South,
please. Hold,
Crosby
please.
Farms.
Fuck.
It's on the box.
God damn it.
It's
My
on
fault.
the box.
My
Read
fault.
the goddamn box.
So we use a lot of hop suppliers now.
We do.
You guys do have a lot
My
of
bad.
partner
God damn
farms.
it. Sorry,
Well, no,
gang.
but like Hop Union didn't give us hops, but they gave us a check.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was that too.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
Right. There's
yeah.
other folks who like offset the cost
Right.
with a cash donation. Not to us, but to the organizations that benefited and the people that benefited.
Yeah, but everybody was like sort of like reeling at the time. So like
yeah.
asking our suppliers to donate a bunch of stuff, and like nobody really.
It's a hard ask.
I mean, back then it was like there were so many crazy things that were happening in the industry where supply chains are still kind of whacked out.
Yeah.
But we were running out of CO2, we were running out of oxygen. We were like
cans.
cans. It was
Yeah.
like, oh man, cans was a stressful thing.
I did some
Yeah.
can begging.
Yeah,
Because our crowler machine was like that was our money maker.
Yeah.
So.
right.
Right.
Oh yeah, it was
guys are trying to
lots of texts to like
figure out-
Hey,
Our hop
hey, good
contracts.
buddy.
Yeah, our hop contracts were all messed up, right? Because we were making a bunch of mayonnaise, which we only sold on draft, and now we're selling 0 draft beer. And so we're like, what are we gonna do with all these hops that we used to
Yeah.
make mayonnaise with?
Yeah.
And so the fact that our brokers and growers, on the hop side were willing to work with us to like a really generous extent. I mean, like
Columbia Distributing,
Columbia Distributing was
Stepped up.
huge.
our
Huge.
distributor, donated all the proceeds from Manny's.
Fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
That's great.
So,
So there was a lot. It was a very collaborative effort.
yeah.
Yet at the same time, while we were struggling to get crowler cans, you guys stepped up through Keith and provided people with growlers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't thank you
yeah,
enough for
fuck
that.
yeah.
Can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. That was, I'm glad we could
That's
help
right.
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Can't thank us enough, but Growler thank us enough.
Dude, we were distributing crowlers from some of our breweries for a hot minute. They were like, dude, we have all of this beer in kegs.
Yeah.
Like, what are we supposed to do here?
Right.
We were like, you guys have a crowler machine. Like, we'll if you need us to, we'll come up and help you. But like, can them up, and we'll find a way to sell them.
Yeah.
Like,
Right on.
yeah, dude, that was the weirdest time ever.
Yeah, it's so squirrely, like Manny was saying. Like to be losing half your business because we were 50-50 draft can at that
Yeah.
point, and feeling lucky. Because just a
Yeah.
couple years earlier,
Yeah.
we were 100% draft.
Yeah,
like we were in the
dude.
same boat as the bar folks in this room,
Yep.
right? Like,
Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely
if this
you
had, and we didn't do this as some sort of hedge against global pandemic or something. Like it was fucking dumb luck, man. Like dumb luck.
My uncle did call me beforehand.
No,
Yeah.
there was a, and I'm gonna butcher it. But it's a cute story about someone who was in charge of purchasing insurance for Wimbledon, and they had bought the package for pandemic insurance in like however many 10 years before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they probably lost their job over it.
It was like $10 a
You
month.
bought fucking what? What? You dumbass. Death threats to the family. But then, we go through it, and I do believe that Wimbledon made money not throwing an event based on that
wow.
insurance. So
Wow, Jesus.
somebody needs all the coke and hookers. Like, yeah, it was like, hey, I know we let you go, but
Sean's like, you'll find him at
Here's,
Wimbledon.
oh, that insurance foresight. What a wonderful thing.
But that's the thing about the pandemic. I think that one of the things, there's so many negative things that came out of it, but
Yeah.
one of the things that people didn't talk about is like all the positive things that
Oh, yeah.
people in the community, all the small businesses and all the people that stepped up to try to help each other out. And I it's not sexy. People don't talk about that kind of stuff, but there's so many awesome people. Not just us. There's so many craft breweries that stepped up and tried to give back. And,
Yeah.
because our business was open and people were drinking. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it's a big dark cloud, but
yeah.
if you look around, there were a couple silver linings. I'm not sure that justifies the big dark cloud, but
right.
there were a couple silver linings.
Yes.
I think there was a lot of silver linings that people didn't look for before, and
Yeah.
I think there are things that resonate
Yeah.
through people's lives now. As detrimental as it was, like I
Yep.
personally had some good things come out of it. So
Me too. Like, and there's a lot of awful, but there is a lot of good. There's a surprising
Sean's
amount
crypto
of good.
wallet was lit.
Go get your fucking vaccine.
It's like, don't let this happen again, for the love of God.
So on the theme of goodness and all the wonderful things that you give back to your community, like we're always really fucking proud to be part of Bob's Night. It's a staff favorite, but can we get the story of Bob on the record for everybody, if you don't mind?
No, absolutely. So I don't even remember what year it was. When I was working with Mac and Jacks back in the late 90s,
Yep.
I started volunteering for Camp Good Times, which is a camp for kids with cancer on Vashon, Camp Burton, on the Burton Peninsula. And so my first year, I was in charge of the 6th and 7th graders. It was a nightmare. Oh my God. I don't deal well with kids. But then I like kids, but that was hard, man.
Exception to that, like
Yeah.
we were at a Rainiers game in the suite, and my oldest sat there and chewed your fucking ear off the whole game.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think you got to talk to a single adult, and you were so gracious and
thank you.
wonderful.
Manny is 100%
Yeah, the
full of
greatest
shit.
time of all time. So,
He is great with kids.
yeah, like
hard,
nice,
though.
nice try, buddy.
It's
Like,
not. Maybe it's
yeah.
not always easy for him,
Yeah.
but he makes it look that way, and kids
Amen.
love him.
But it was a week of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, we're missing 2. every day, every hour. Like,
No, I know.
I'm
I
missing
used
3,
to
I'm
have
missing
7
4.
kids.
I'm missing 2.
I used to have sex.
Down to 3. No, the math will catch up to you at some point.
So, anyways, I went on to run it's called Leadership and Training Program, and I ended up running the 16, 17-year-old kids. And one of the kids was a guy named B.o.d.h.i.Z.a.f.a. And he had leukemia when he was 11 years old from Juneau, Alaska. And so basically had cancer his entire life, on and off. I mean, kids get cured or they go cancer-free, remission, and if it comes back, it's tough. I mean, so Bob ended up relapsing twice. And so when he was 21, he ended up passing away. But when he was 18 years old, he was back in Seattle for treatment, and like we connected when I was his counselor, and when he came back, he reached out, and his mom reached out, and I was like, we would go hang out. We ended up reading the Lance Armstrong book together, that guy, but it was inspirational, right? And so we would go see movies together, and we became like really close, and so. When he turned 21, I went up to Juneau and celebrated with him, and we had a 21 run up there.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
I ended up being fucking designated driver because those guys ended up partying all night, like 2 nights. So when he was 20, like, we're going to party at midnight. Nobody carded him. He was like, we were partying at like 10 a.m., right? Or 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Whatever. And it was awesome. But like, I ended up driving him and his buddies around from Russian dumpling. Anybody been to Juneau? There's a pierogi place or whatever, like Russian dumpling place. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Juneau's a cool town.
Right on.
So, but like shortly after his 21 run, Bob passed away. And so we were like probably like 2 years into our business.
I think 3.
3 years in our business.
Right about there.
Yeah. And Bob's brother Ken called me and we were talking. And he's like, hey, would you mind naming your next beer after Bob? I was like, yeah, I got you. And I talked to Roger.
I was going to say, but before that, we were talking about like, hey, if we donate a lot of beer, we do
Yeah.
a lot of things to support other people's efforts
Yeah.
or other companies, entities, whatever's efforts to like support the community and to give back. Like we need to figure out what we're going to do to give back and ask other people to support our efforts to give back. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
And then like we're in the middle of that conversation and then we get this call.
Yeah, and it just kind of seemed sort of unnatural in some ways. It was like here's an opportunity for us to give back, and there was also a connection. And so we ended up we talked to Bob's mom, and we said, hey, you pick the charity. Like what is the most important to you?
Well, first we asked
Yeah.
if it was okay.
Oh yeah.
If we like did something in her son's name,
Yeah.
you know, like maybe made a beer named after him, and was that cool?
Yeah.
And then like, well, if we do this and you're okay with it,
Right.
then like, hey, where do you want the funds to go?
Right.
And we figured it'd be a cancer thing, right? Because obviously
Yeah.
your son struggled with cancer for,
Right.
10, 11, 12 years, and like, well, that seemed natural,
Yeah.
but that's not the direction she went exactly.
But I think the thing about the Ronald McDonald House, what she chose, is like I think a lot of people are unaware of what goes on behind the scenes. You know, so Seattle Children's Hospital services like a huge swath of like very complicated cases through Alaska, Montana, Idaho, Washington.
Yeah.
And so if your kid gets sick and has to go through these like really intense treatments that are very complicated, like insurance does not pay for the family to get up and go and like live in some other place.
Absolutely not.
So you're displaced, right? And it's really, really trying for a lot of these families. And so what the Ron McDonald House does is they're basically, it's $20 a night, but if you can't pay it, can't afford it, it's free. Yep, it's free. You stay here. Their average stay is like a month and a half.
Yeah, it's over a month.
Okay, so imagine your kid is sick. You got to get in a month and a half hotel.
Yeah, while you're not working.
While you're not working? In Laurelhurst
Yeah.
by the,
In
by
fucking
the university.
Need is just
Seattle.
kind of like a little bit of a drop
Tacoma,
of the hat.
Seattle,
Like,
Western
Yeah, and
Washington.
your insurance is not going to pay for it.
yeah.
Yep.
So there's like this need out there for a lot of these families that is not available. So they do amazing work. They just expanded. They just built a new wing. They're still full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question from the audience. What is the name of the new wing they built?
So the new wing, what's the name? Oh, so they did name not a wing but a room for Bob. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So thank you.
Super
Thank
rad.
you, Jamie. Yeah. So yeah, we've raised over $1 million
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we've had help, but
Jeez.
with the help from you guys.
nevertheless.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, and we've had like one of our Deer Parkway friend families, the Bartholomew family. Like you guys helped us on a special fundraiser, but they spent a lot of time at Ronald McDonald House and
Yeah.
little fundraiser for Ella. Like you helped us with that, and it's the greatest fucking thing that I can think of in the course of the year. Like staff loves it. Like the things you do, the work you put in to raise 100% of those proceeds, like it's just fucking badass. And you guys have always done that, and I just, I don't know if people like, when you go to make a decision on what beer you're buying, and you're looking at the cooler, like that's always something that what you've done in the community is always going to sway me. Like beer is incredible, but what you give back is, I think, unprecedented compared to anyone else. True life. The best you're the best at that, I think.
Word.
Well, no, it's not just the funds; it's the heart and the time that goes into it. Like you really fucking care about your community, and you care about us in Tacoma, and that's that's a big deal.
Thanks, John.
No, fucking
Man, cheers to you, man.
cheers
For all the work you do. Hey.
Here's the Bob.
Yeah. To Bob.
Bob.
Here's to Bob and
Thanks, Jamie.
like, yeah.
We are
On a happier note, fuck up stories.
fuck up stories.
Oh, there it is.
Now I feel like I
Here it
did my
comes.
turn.
Can we start swearing again?
Yep. Yeah. We're gonna need one from each of you, I think.
All right.
Stories.
Age before beauty.
You go first.
Age before
No, you
beauty.
go first. Like I got. You can tell a fuck up about what something we did, and I can tell
I'm
a
not
fuck
gonna
up
point at
about
Keith
something
right
we
here.
didn't.
He's
do.
getting ready for this. I love you, Keith.
Yeah.
He's like,
My biggest fuck up.
Hiring Keith.
Keith Carpenter.
Yeah.
This guy right here. We used to sell Mac and Jacks together back in the mid '90s.
Did his resume just say 7 C's?
Oh yeah.
Like, nope, this was my first job.
He's
Never
like
worked
a
for
new
these
guy
guys
in the
before.
industry. Just,
Mac and who?
just a pup. Just a pup.
Okay, so you guys know that Bodhisattva is not spelled Bodhisattva, right? Mm-hmm. So we actually
Yeah?
yeah. So when we first named Bodhizafa, we thought that it was just, we spelled it B.o.d.h.i.z.a.f.a phonetically. And then we Googled it, and Patrick Swayze was the first thing that came up. And we're like, that's it.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's it. And we
Nailed it.
Yeah, we nailed it. Right. But it's actually Bodhisattva, S-S-A-T-V-A, which is like named after like a Hindu god.
Not Hindu, Buddhist.
Buddhist god.
Not a god, but whatever.
Fuck up story in a fuck up story.
All right.
Love it.
Oh god.
Okay. Roger's white, and he just corrected me.
I'm mansplaining it right now.
Yeah.
Way to white-splain the correct interpretation of history.
And it literally wasn't, but we never thought it was going to be the beer that it became. So literally, like, it was like 6 months later.
Yeah.
It was like Matt, our sales manager, was like, you know,
Might
we
wanna
kind
make more of that.
of fucked that up. And we looked it up and we're like, oh, oops. Oops.
We left the whole letter out.
Oops. Yeah. And then when people started buying the beer, everyone's like, nobody can pronounce some stupid
One of
name.
your most career-defining beers.
Yeah, exactly. And there's still people that can't pronounce a stupid name, right?
That is true.
I'll take
For
the Bodhi, the tomato beer.
It's still better than Lagunitas.
Yeah.
Lagunitis. Can I get a Lagunitis? Like, no, but I can give you a pill for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Like, oh, you need to see a doctor. I'll give you a beer in the meantime.
That was a fuck up.
Yeah.
It might be tough to top.
I did pull a valve off of a bright tank once when we first got started, and it did hit me in the gut with like 15 psi full of beer.
How big? How big was this bright tank?
Wrong tri-clamp.
Only 15 barrels at the time.
Oh,
Yeah, but it was
only
a
tiny
30
little
kegs.
baby these days.
But the problem is no floor drains.
Oh,
in a
God.
cooler. It took a long time to clean
Oh,
up.
It
God.
was a mess.
It was a mess.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
Roger, we got like 2 minutes, man. You got one.
All right. So two things. Like when you first, I first thought about this question. Like the first thing I thought of was when we were looking to like buy equipment, right? Like we found this thing on probrewer.com, and it's just like, oh, they wanted X dollars for this equipment from someplace in Cincinnati, and we're like, let's offer half. And we offered half, and like they accepted it, and we're like, shit, we offered too much. And it was a smoking deal. It was great. It was not really a big mistake. And then the other one I thought of, which I was kind of funny that you brought up Lagunitas. So, when we were transitioning between breweries, like we were building the new current brewery, and we were still brewing and operating out of the old brewery on Airport Way. Tony McGee from Lagunitas came up, and Manny was out of town.
Yep.
And so it was just me. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to hang out. Like, and I gave a tour of our old place, and I like drove a half mile or whatever it is, quarter mile up the street, gave a tour of the new place. And I'm like, let's go have lunch, man. Like, and so I'm like, where should we go? I'm like, you want pizza? You want chili? What do you want? Like there's a couple options in a mile radius. And, he's like, oh, pizza. And I'm like, oh, we'll go here. So we go there, and I'm just like, I made this huge mistake. Because Stella Pizza was like a stronghold for Lagunitas IPA. I'm like, we fucking have to go here. You need to meet Lisa, Stella. Like, this has to happen. Like, she's had this beer on tap the whole time.
She loved it.
The whole time.
Yeah.
She was like carrying the torch, loved it, always on. And so we go there, he gets to meet her, and it's awesome and great. And so then we walk across the street back to the original brewery, our original brewery. And he's just like, oh, hey, so I'm thinking like, you guys had a good thing going. We got a good thing going. Like, just sort of maybe hedge our bets a little bit. Like maybe like we could like trade some stock. Like you could have a little bit of our company. We could have a little bit of your company. And I'm like, oh, man, that's so kind of you. That's so cool. Like, but Manny and I are kind of like the lone wolf thing. Like we want to do our own thing. We don't want pressure. We don't want whatever. Like, okay, I mean, I'll talk to him about it. Like, I'm not going to make this decision unilaterally. Like, whatever.
This is the first time I've ever heard the story.
Fuck, you're so full of shit. So full of shit.
I'm gonna talk to him. Yeah.
So he's like, hey, you want this big bag of weed? And I'm like, we're good in the weed department. And so he's like, all right, I gotta go catch a plane. So he flies away. I talked to Manny about it, and he's like, yeah, man, let's just do our own thing and just stay in our lane and whatever. And then whatever it was, 10 or 12 years later, they sell it for $1 billion. And I am not making that number up. That is exactly what the fuck happened. And I'm like, we could have had a piece of that shit. I think that qualifies for about the biggest mistake we may have made. We've done a lot of dumb shit, but that's top of the list.
Yeah, but you make that move, there's no more Bobs.
No,
well,
there's no more.
that's the thing you worry about, right?
Yeah,
When
right.
you have to answer to other shareholders and whatever.
So thank you for your poverty.
There you go. You're welcome.
We're not for
The
sale,
community appreciates it.
but we are listed on Craigslist for $1 billion.
$1 billion. Yeah.
I ain't give you nothing more than 0.85.
Yeah, shit. That sucks. So, I'm playing that in my head.
Yeah.
No, we're
I take $1 billion.
guys. Thanks so much for coming down, man.
Yeah,
Seriously.
fucking awesome.
You guys.
Yeah,
You did great.
cheers
It
indeed,
is
man.
our pleasure.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
I already can't wait until the next time you guys can come down and do it again.
Oh, me neither.
3 and 4.
That's right. Coming soon to a theater near you.
We should have 6 or 7 listeners by then.
Yeah, I think thanks again, but Ron's going to take us out.
All right. Grit and Grainers, email us at cheers@gritandgrainpodcast.com with your comments, opinions, and alerts when the little hand says it's time to rock and roll, brah. We read and drink everything we receive, and we respond as quickly as can. If not online, then on air. You can subscribe to Grit and Grain on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and please leave us a review. You also check us out on channel 253 and gritandgrainpodcast.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for episode notes, beer news, and the most excellent discussions on underused truth that long surfer hair is a valuable entity in action movies. With every movement, that long waterfall of follicles will fling with its own counter move, creating another plane of action. Like a many-limbed thing, hair will fling about and sling tiny punches.
Where did you find this guy?
If this podcast is not what you expected, please alter your expectations. To really feel alive, one must let go and transcend all rules and conventions, brah.
Yes.
No such thing as a bad time to visit Tacoma. No
Amen.
such thing as too much barley wine. Woo! Woo! Tune in next Friday for more sweet chatter. Adios, amigos.
Yeah.
Killed it.
Thanks, man.
He doesn't actually say bra.
I do.
Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us at Grit and Grain Podcast wherever you get your social media and catch new episodes every Friday. Cheers.
Grit and Grain is part of the Channel 253 podcast network. Check out our other shows: Nerd Farmer, Interchangeable White Ladies, Move to Tacoma, Crossing Division, Citizen Tacoma, What Say You, We Are Tacoma, Flounders B Team, and Taco Man.
This is Channel 253.